Hi, this Flash Lab is going to be such a great time in our working teams. I mean, can you imagine believers of Jesus all over the world working together and collaborating? It's going to be a little bit like heaven. Or is it? There are 10 reasons why this Flash Lab is going to be really very difficult. So let's think about it. Everyone is volunteering their time. So everyone's busy. People can only give a little bit each week. That makes it very challenging. Everybody's in a different time zone. That means communicating is a little bit harder, and organizing Zoom calls is tricky. For most, English is their second or third or fourth language. So even when we say things that we think are clear, are not always understood by other people. Many people are doing the Flash Lab only on their phone. That means that if we expect even simple things like typing, or using software, that's going to be tricky. Lots of people are on very slow and irregular internet. So they might be on the Zoom call, but they can't hear, or the internet drops out all the time. That's very regular for most of our people who are serving in the Flash Lab. We also come from different worldviews. So sometimes what we think we say is not what other people hear. We mostly don't know each other. That means our trust of one another and our knowledge of each other is pretty limited. In lots of cultures, it's only the leader who speaks. And in a collaborative work team, you're wanting everybody to speak and everyone to step up. And so that makes it very tricky as well. Actually, we've discovered that in any group, whether it's virtual or live, that only about 5 people will speak unless the facilitator works hard to get other people to speak. And then finally, everybody has come to this Flash Lab with different expectations, different understandings. So there's 10 reasons why this might not work. So you might be thinking, so do we give up now? We can't do anything. Well, of course, that's also a big no. We can make this work. So let's think about 10 reasons why this Flash Lab will work. There are great ways to make these working teams work. So, for example, we need to encourage ourselves as well as others to be committed members. It is going to take some work to make this work. So encourage commitment. The second thing is slow down. Start with something small and manageable, and make sure your speaking is slow enough that people can understand it. Start with a small project. And that way you'll get some wins on the board, and you will be able to build trust and be able to go bigger later. So start small. Invite all the members to contribute by name. So don't expect people just to jump in and volunteer. You're going to have to ask them and see if they will be able to contribute. But then also realize it's okay if they can't, or they can't hear, or language is difficult. Remember to keep it simple. So start with one simple task, and then move to another and to another. That's a very important part of this Flash Lab. Use the limitations that you have in a positive way. So, for example, if you're on a Zoom call and all you've got is the chat box, then use that. And in our recent Zoom call, in just 5 minutes, we ended up with something like 30 different stories from people shared from the call. And there are only about 33 people on the Zoom call. So it took 5 minutes and we got something great. Also use differences as a good thing. Some people will be able to write. Some people will be able to think up ideas. Some people might just be able to give good feedback or test things on the ground all over the world. So use the differences in your group in a really smart way. Give everybody a manageable task. So rather than kind of opening up something massive and expecting people to do all sorts of things, try and break it up. And say, okay, could you come up with one game? We just need 30 or 40 words. Or if you can't type it, then give an audio message with a game. Or film your kids playing something and send that. That will be a great way. So break it up into manageable tasks. As a facilitator, try not to drive the group too much. It's quite a temptation to think, okay, I've got to get somewhere. So you're going to want to drive and drive and drive. But actually, you've got to try and facilitate, try and get people to jump on board. If you go faster than they're ready for, you're not going to get anywhere anyway. So facilitate, open up ideas and let it grow at the speed of trust. That's something very important. And that then leads to the final thing, is to build ownership. It's better to go slow at the beginning, to go faster later, and that involves getting ownership in the group, listening to them, listening to each other, and slowly as a group you get stronger and you're able to contribute some great ideas to the Flash Lab. So there's 10 great ways that you and your team can get this Flash Lab working really well. And the final point we always like to talk about is failing forward. Now, really, there's no failure in a Flash Lab. Everything is a learning experience. And even if we don't make anything this time, it will still be a great experience that we can build on. But the failing forward is that if you feel like something hasn't gone so well, then fall forward and learn from it, and then pick yourself up and keep walking. This is a great opportunity to serve Jesus. It's not an easy task. It's complicated. It's messy, but it is possible. Let's keep praying that the Lord enables us to do some great things together.